We all say we want a better life, but we forget that a better life doesn't come from wishing, praying, or waiting. It comes from working on yourself. And the funny thing is, most people stop exactly when the work is about to show results. They get tired, they get distracted, they get influenced by people who never worked on themselves in the first place. And then they wonder why nothing changes. When you stop working on yourself, life doesn't pause for you. It keeps moving. Situations keep coming. Challenges keep growing. And if you are not growing with them, you get crushed under the weight of your own unpreparedness. You blame luck, blame people, blame circumstances. But the truth is simple: you left yourself behind. Growth does not happen because you want it. Growth happens because you fight for it. Because you choose every single day to face your weaknesses, your habits, your fears. Nobody can do this work for you, and if you avoid it, life will expose you again and again. The same mistakes, the same heartbreaks, the same financial stress, the same anger, the same disappointments. They repeat only because you repeat the same version of yourself. Don't stop working on yourself. Not because the world demands it, but because your own peace depends on it. If you don't strengthen your mind, the world will control it. If you don't sharpen your intelligence, someone else will misguide it. If you don't discipline your habits will ruin your future. And if you don't understand yourself deeply, you will live your whole life feeling like a stranger inside your own skin. People think working on yourself means doing something big. No. Real work is small, silent, invisible. Choosing the right thought when the wrong one feels easier. Choosing patience when anger tries to dominate you. Choosing honesty when lies seem more convenient. Choosing effort when laziness seduces you. These tiny decisions create a completely different destiny. Don't stop just because people around you are not changing. Don't stop because someone mocked you. Don't stop because progress is slow. Even one drop of improvement every day becomes an ocean of transformation later. Keep going even if nobody notices. Keep going even if nobody supports you. The real reward is not applause. The reward is becoming someone you are proud to live with. And remember this: you are not working on yourself to impress the world. You are doing it so that when life challenges you, you don't collapse. You stand. You think clearly. You respond with maturity. You choose with wisdom. You live with dignity. You rise above your own old self. So don't stop working on yourself. Because the moment you stop, life stops making sense. The moment you stop, problems start controlling you. The moment you stop, the world starts shaping you according to its noise. Keep improving, not for perfection, but for clarity. Not for approval, but for freedom. Not for anyone else, but for the one person who has to live your entire life with you, yourself. Keep going. You are not even close to what you can become. We all talk about growth as if it is something magical that will fall from the sky when the timing is right. But real growth is not an event, it is a daily inner battle. It is not something you get, it is something you become through thousands of small decisions. And most people never understand this. They wait for motivation, inspiration, some perfect moment, or someone else to push them. But inner work doesn't wait for your mood. It demands your commitment, especially on the days when you don't feel like doing anything. You must understand one simple truth: your mind is not naturally on your side. It is shaped by years of conditioning, habits, fear, laziness, desire, distractions, and social influence. When you wake up every day, you are not fighting the world first, you are fighting the tendencies inside you that want to keep you exactly where you are. That is the real battlefield. The struggle is not outside, it is internal. And the ones who grow are not the ones who avoid the struggle, but the ones who face it consciously. Every morning, your mind whispers excuses. It tells you you can start tomorrow. It tells you you're too tired. It tells you it won't make a big difference anyway. And if you listen even once, the mind becomes stronger. If you listen repeatedly, your environment, your circumstances, even your desires begin to control you. That is why growth requires daily confrontation. You must sit with yourself and ask, who is ruling me today, my awareness or my impulses? Most people want growth without discomfort. They want clarity without confusion, discipline without resistance, courage without fear. But this is impossible. The very structure of growth demands friction. When you challenge yourself, something inside you resists. When you try to change, your old self pulls you back. When you try to rise, your habits try to drag you down. The inner battle is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the clearest sign that you are actually moving forward. This battle is not loud. It does not happen in front of others. Nobody claps when you win. But its impact is immense. It begins the moment you choose not to react in anger. It begins when you refuse to waste time on pointless distractions. It begins when you stay with a task even when you feel bored or irritated. It begins when you speak the truth even though a lie would be easier. These are moments where you are not battling the world, you are battling yourself. And every small victory shapes your character in ways you cannot see immediately. The tragedy is that people underestimate the power of these internal victories. They think only big achievements matter. They think growth is something dramatic. But the most powerful transformations come from the quiet decisions that nobody sees. Choosing focus over distraction is a battle. Choosing discipline over comfort is a battle. Choosing patience over frustration is a battle. And growth hides behind these battles, waiting for you to win consistently. You don't have to fight huge wars every day. Even small efforts count. You just have to say no to the old version of yourself again and again. That is how you reshape your inner world. That is how you break patterns. That is how you rise above your past. And every day you fight this internal battle, you weaken the grip of unconscious tendencies. But remember, this fight is not comfortable. Some days you will feel drained. Some days you will be tempted to quit. The mind will try to convince you that the old ways were easier, more familiar, more pleasant. And that is true. Old ways are easier because they don't push you. They don't demand anything. They don't challenge your identity or comfort. But easy paths never lead to real inner strength. You only grow when you step into the unknown parts of yourself, when you resist the impulses that once ruled you. This inner battle also exposes your illusions. It shows you how often you lie to yourself. You tell yourself you will wake up early and you don't. You tell yourself you will stay calm and you explode at minor triggers. You tell yourself you will study, work, meditate, or improve. And the moment comfort calls, you forget everything. When you start working on yourself honestly, you begin to see these gaps clearly. And seeing your own contradictions is painful, but necessary. Without this awareness, growth remains impossible. The beauty of this daily inner battle is that it slowly shapes you into someone mentally strong. You become someone who doesn't collapse when life challenges you. You become someone who doesn't get manipulated by emotions. You become someone who doesn't blame circumstances. Most importantly, you become someone who can trust themselves because you know you can rely on your own actions rather than your moods. This strength is not visible immediately. The world may not see your progress. People may even think you haven't changed at all. But deep inside, you know the difference. You can. How that today you can control your anger a little better. You know you can avoid certain temptations more easily. You know you can stay focused for a bit longer. You know you choose awareness more often than automatic reactions. These silent improvements accumulate. They shift your identity at its core. You don't become stronger by accident. You become stronger by consistently confronting the parts of you that are weak. You don't become wiser suddenly. You become wiser by challenging your own assumptions daily. You don't become confident magically. You become confident when you repeatedly do what your fear tells you to avoid. Every uncomfortable action builds a layer of inner solidity. And this fight is lifelong. There is no point where you finish working on yourself. The moment you stop, the mind slips back into old patterns. Just like a muscle weakens without exercise, your awareness weakens without inner work. That is why daily engagement is essential. Even 10 minutes of honest reflection, discipline, or self-observation can keep you aligned. The most important part of this daily battle is sincerity. You cannot fake inner work. You may impress others with words, but you cannot deceive yourself. Growth demands truth. It demands that you admit your weaknesses without shame and your strengths without arrogance. It demands that you look at your thoughts honestly, even when they reveal uncomfortable realities. It demands that you take responsibility for your life instead of waiting for external rescue. And slowly, something beautiful happens. When you fight this inner battle every day, you develop a kind of quiet freedom. You no longer feel controlled by your cravings. You no longer react blindly. You no longer fear ordinary challenges. You stop comparing your life to others. You stop seeking validation. Your confidence comes not from achievements, but from your relationship with yourself. This is the real reward of daily inner work. Not success, not perfection, not admiration, but freedom. Freedom from your own lower tendencies, freedom from compulsions, freedom from the noise of the mind, freedom from the emotional storms that once dominated you. When you win internal battles consistently, life becomes clearer. Problems don't disappear, but your approach changes. You respond with maturity, not panic. You observe before reacting. You think before choosing. And you remain centered even when things around you become chaotic. This kind of stability cannot be bought. It cannot be taught in classrooms. It cannot be inherited. It has to be earned within yourself every single day. Growth is not an event, it is a daily inner confrontation. And the one who faces this battle sincerely becomes unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because their mind becomes disciplined, their emotions become refined, their decisions become conscious, their presence becomes powerful. Your real enemy is not outside. Your real victory is not outside. Everything begins inside. And when you work on yourself daily, you discover that the most difficult battles often lead to the most beautiful versions of yourself. Most people underestimate the power of small choices. They believe that transformation requires something dramatic, something loud, something instantly noticeable. But life does not change in big leaps. It changes in quiet, ordinary moments. Moments so subtle that you don't even realize they are shaping your destiny. The second you choose comfort over effort, you begin moving in one direction. The second you choose discipline over laziness, you begin moving in another. Every choice, no matter how tiny it looks, becomes a thread in the fabric of your future. You must understand that your life today is nothing but a collection of small C. Choices you made over the years, the habits you have, the emotional patterns you repeat, the opportunities you missed or created, everything is built on decisions that felt insignificant at the time. People ruin their entire potential not because of one big mistake, but because of the smallest repeated ones. And people rise not because of one heroic action, but because they consistently choose the little difficult things that build strength. Think of how your day begins. You have two options the moment you open your eyes: stay in bed or get up. It seems like a tiny decision, almost meaningless. But that moment sets the tone for your whole day. It decides whether you begin from discipline or from surrender. If you choose comfort at the very start of your day, it becomes easier to choose comfort again at noon, again in the evening, again tomorrow. On the other hand, if you start your morning with a conscious choice of effort, your mind becomes alert, responsible, awake. That one small choice shapes dozens of decisions that follow. This is the secret most people ignore. Small choices don't remain small. They influence your next choices, your next behaviors, your next feelings. They accumulate, they amplify, they compound silently in the background of your life. If you make harmful choices even 5% of the time, that 5% slowly infects everything else. And if you make wise choices even 5% of the time, that 5% slowly begins to heal everything else. That's why the smallest decisions matter. But the problem is, small choices don't come with alarms. They don't warn you. They don't say, if you pick the easy option right now, you will weaken your mind. They don't say, if you speak harshly in irritation today, you will make it easier to lose control tomorrow. They don't say, if you waste just 20 minutes right now, you'll waste years later. Small choices hide their consequences until it's too late. By the time you see what they've done, you've already become a certain kind of person. Every time you stay calm in a situation that once triggered you, you are shaping your emotional maturity. Every time you avoid gossip or negative talk, you protect your mind from unnecessary noise. Every time you choose to study for even 15 minutes, you strengthen your discipline. Every time you say no to an unhealthy distraction, you grow your self respect. These actions are small, but their meaning is enormous. They are training your mind, preparing you for moments when life will demand strength. People often say they want to be wiser, more confident, more disciplined, more stable, but they forget that these qualities don't appear suddenly. Confidence is not built in moments of applause, it is built when you show up even when no one is watching. Discipline is not built through motivation, it is built through routine. Wisdom is not built through reading alone, it is built through observing your small reactions, mistakes, behaviors. Stability is not built in peaceful times, it is built when you handle minor stress with maturity instead of panic. Every small choice trains a part of your inner world. That is why ignoring small choices is dangerous. When you regularly give in to irritation, you become someone who is easily disturbed by the smallest thing. When you regularly choose laziness, your body becomes heavy, your mind becomes sluggish. When you regularly choose distractions, your attention becomes fractured. But when you consistently choose the wiser option, even if it is harder, you begin to transform silently. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they need huge motivation to change their life. No, you just need small consistency. Even a 1 degree shift in direction leads you to a completely different destination over time. You don't need to jump, you need to walk. You don't need to fix everything today, you need to fix one small thing today. And if you repeat that small correction every day, your life becomes unrecognizable in a year. These small choices also reveal who is actually responsible for your life. You can blame people, circumstances, or timing for your bigger failures, but small choices expose your reality. Nobody forces you to waste hours on your phone. Nobody forces you to overthink. Nobody forces you to react in anger. Nobody forces you to delay your goals. These are your decisions, even if they happen out of habit. And because they are yours, they can also be changed by you. When you begin paying attention to small decisions, something powerful happens. You start becoming aware of your thoughts before they turn into actions. You begin noticing when laziness tries to convince you to do it later. You catch your anger rising before it becomes a reaction. You notice your mind drifting into negativity before it affects your mood. This awareness is the seed of transformation. Without it, you live unconsciously. With it, you begin living deliberately. Every transformation begins with noticing the small things: how you talk to yourself, how you sit, how you breathe when stressed, how you behave when no one is watching, how you respond when you're tired. These tiny moments reveal your true inner condition. And if you improve them one by one, your outer life improves automatically. The biggest advantage of small choices is that they are manageable. You can't change your entire life in one day, but you can change one habit today. You can control one reaction today. You can complete one task today. You can improve by 1% today. And if you do that every day, improvement becomes inevitable. There is another reason small choices matter: they reflect your identity. Your choices shape the kind of person you believe yourself to be. When you choose discipline, you strengthen your identity as someone responsible. When you choose truth, you strengthen your identity as someone grounded. When you choose effort, you strengthen your identity as someone capable. When you choose patience, you strengthen your identity as someone mature. Identity grows through repetition, not intention. And once your identity changes, your life follows automatically. You don't need motivation when you see yourself as someone disciplined. You don't need reminders when you see yourself as someone dedicated. You don't need external pressure when your self image aligns with your goals. This shift happens through small decisions. That is why ignoring them is like ignoring the foundation while focusing on the decoration of a building. The truth is, giant success is just the visible tip of an iceberg of tiny decisions. People admire the visible part and ignore the invisible work beneath it. But the invisible work is what matters. The nights when you resisted distraction, the mornings when you acted despite tiredness, the conversations where you chose honesty, the situations where you chose calmness, the days when you stayed consistent even without motivation. This is what shapes your destiny quietly. Small choices are not small. They are the most powerful force in your life. They shape your habits, your identity, your thinking, your behavior, your emotional stability, your future. And the moment you start taking them seriously, everything begins to shift. You gain clarity, control, direction. You stop feeling confused or helpless. You start living with intention instead of accident. And slowly you realize that every moment is an opportunity to write a new chapter for the person you are becoming. Your destiny is not written in big events, it is written in the smallest choices you make every day.